I genuinely believe that everyone has the ability to connect with the other side. And if we can remember and fully embody the knowing that we are made of spirit, it's who we are. So the angels are just ultimately, in my eyes, an expression of the divine. And they're just waiting for us to open up to them.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted to talk with your guardian angels and get angelic assistance fast, then do we have the Angel Guide Oracle deck show for you. Today I'll be talking with Kyle Gray, one of the UK's youngest, most sought-after angel experts, the author of at least 7, scratch that, coming in just a few hours, 8 books, the creator of at least, I didn't even check, 4, 5? How many angel card decks do you have? 4 angel deck card decks, and the author of a fascinating deck for communicating with the angels, the Angel Guide Oracle deck. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about calling on your guardian angels to get guidance and protection from beyond. That, plus we'll talk about DJing and 4-star hotels, the Boys Brigade in prayer, 7-foot Barack Obamas, and what in the world Glasgow Central and speaking out loud with angels has to do with anything. So welcome back to the show, Kyle. Are you ready to shine?
I'm ready!
Woohoo!
You're so funny. I actually was like, I said to my mom today before I came on this show, I said, this guy does his research. He learns little things about your life that you're not going to expect him to know. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, he'll pull things out of the bag that you just don't see coming. And you're supposed to be psychic. You still don't see them coming.
I like it. All right, on that note, and that has nothing to do with the rooster. Maybe we'll even get there. Before we dive right into things, can we all communicate with guardian angels?
I genuinely believe that everyone has the ability to connect with the other side. And, you know, it's my knowing that our truth is that we are ultimately spirit. It is who we are. We're having this human experience, but I believe that if we can remember and fully embody the knowing that we are made of spirit, then we can connect with all levels of intelligence on a spiritual level. So it's our divine right to actually connect with the divine. It's because it's who we are, and it's also what we're connected to, and it's also what surrounds us. So the angels are just ultimately, in my eyes, an expression of the divine. And they're just waiting for us to open up to them.
Thank you. And there's an idea I've been teaching about lately. I look at 2020. I was looking at it as the year of reckoning. Now I call it the year of reinvention. But the line I keep using with people is, if not now, then when? And to me, when it comes to communicating with angels, I cannot think of a better or perhaps a more important time to reestablish that relationship than now.
Right. You know, the idea of connecting with angels has been around, you know, for millennia. And angels have appeared in the 4 corners of the world with different names and different faces. Yeah. You know, in every spiritual tradition, there is a similar concept and idea with regards to a divine being that is not actually God itself or the creator itself, but an extension of it. And so the idea has kind of been there this whole time. And I would say the last 20 years especially, people have really delved deep into connection, spiritual practice, discovering the truth of who we are, why we're here, and in some ways either to prepare us or to protect us in these challenging times. You know, I genuinely believe that if you are walking the spiritual path and you've been connected to angels for maybe 4, 5, 10 years or whatever, the reason is that somewhere inside of you, you knew that times were changing and you needed to be prepared. And it's like now this knowing that these divine beings are there and all the people have been doing the work to tell the world about them, it's kind of like this spiritual first aid kit that's here to kind of help us stay well, stay protected, stay aligned so that we know what we can do from here.
I love it. Spiritual first aid kit. Now, if I go back to the first time you saw your guardian angel, I think you wanted nothing to do with it because you were late for work again. And yet Spirit arrived for you when it was the right time, divine timing for Spirit to arrive. What happened?
So I had been working so to tell you, can I fill it in a little bit?
Please do.
I started my spiritual journey super young, and I had started doing professional angel readings around the age of 16.
Mm-hmm.
Come 17, I received a government-based funding grant to start a spiritual business. And then I got to about the age of 20, and after seeing, hundreds of people for angel sessions, I kind of like reached the end of the line. There was just not much more I could have given, and I know why.
Yeah.
But I was so burnt out that I ended up going in a new direction. I had studied music for a while, and then I went into corporate event management. So I was a event manager in a hotel.
I like that you use the word corporate, because if anything does not fit you, Kyle, it is corporate.
And it didn't fit me then either, but I was kind of good. Like I would run like conferences and all these kind of things, and for like a 4-star hotel. And while I was there, I had told people about my connection with the angels, but I hadn't really given the full picture of what or how.
Yeah.
And I had been given a hard time by a lot of my colleagues because I was young. I had come in from nowhere to this company, and I was using like Facebook marketing, and using the internet to get connections. And my sales had been higher than the majority of the people that had been working there for like a decade.
Wow.
And I decided that one night I was going to like contact the angels and reform a bond after kind of taking some time away from them. I didn't really take time away, but I did. I kind of took time away from them, but they never took time away from me.
Right.
And I went to bed one night and read a book about angels. It was by a colleague called Diana Cooper. Mm-hmm. You might know her. And I got to chapter 5 of the book. It was called Feathers. And I opened up the book, and a feather fell out of the book. It landed on my chest. And I remember the room just feeling like it was filled with light. And the next morning, I woke up and I went to get out of bed. And there, standing at the side of my bed, was this 6-foot something, like huge black man who was the double of Barack Obama. And instantly I thought, I'm going crazy. Like, it was just so I kind of, when you see something and you don't believe you can see it, because I had seen angels in light form, and I had seen presences of spirits, but it was never so full. It was like a physical being in my room, and I kind of shook my eyes, and he didn't disappear. He was like full on physical, and he had like armory, and that's the way I could describe his chest. It was like like he was
proud armor,
right? And I was like, whoa. So I was like, no, I'm not doing this today. This is not happening. I knew he was an angel. I didn't know why he was necessarily there, but I was not settling for it. So I went to the bathroom, came back from my shower. He was still there. So I was like, I'm not getting changed in front of you. So I, took all my clothes to the bathroom, and I left from there. And then that day I just left them, so I don't know.
Now, let me pause you, because I was sharing this story with Jessica, and she's going, he didn't speak with the angel? You're like, I'm in a hurry for work. I'm not going there. I'm not going to my neurosis right now. I'm not.
Right. I was in some way not ready for the commitment of spirituality. I was like this 20-year-old kid, and even though I had been doing angel readings and I had all these really great experiences, there was still a part of me, wasn't necessarily scared of the angels, but was scared of the honor for working for the angels, the responsibility, the everything that comes with this life. there was a part of me that wasn't fully ready to step into that. And so, yeah, I didn't speak to the angel. I was denying this happening. And I had also been at this time getting really good at DJing. And I had, on the side of all of this, studied music at college and finished and started getting gigs to DJ. And I was at my desk in work that day, and my own mobile phone kept ringing, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a gig, because there was a withheld number,
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder who this is. So my boss was like, I've told you several times you can't take personal calls during work hours unless it's your lunchtime. And I was like, can I just take this call? It feels like it's important. And so she said, okay, go outside. So I went outside and I answered it, and it was this lady, and she was like, hi, my name is Yvonne. She's okay with me using her name. I checked. My name is Yvonne, and I work for the Scottish Sun newspaper. Are you Kyle Gray, who speaks to angels? And I was like, no, I'm not. And I hung up. And she called back again, and she's like, listen, just give me a minute. I just want to speak to you. And the truth of the matter was, when you tell the world that you speak to angels, and especially, 13 years ago, there was not this same, acceptance. And I think it was also because I wasn't fully ready to embrace it myself. And I genuinely was repulsed by the idea of me telling this very right-centered, right-wing newspaper that I could see celestial beings, So I hesitated. But she basically had said that there was a position for a new columnist in the newspaper, and I was going to be able to write about angels in the way that I saw fit, in a way that they wouldn't edit what I had to share, but only, my grammar and all those kind of things. And I was like, okay. She says, but there's a trial for the position. And so I had said, let me have a think about it, and I'll come back to you. So I, discussed it with my mother, and she was like, this is probably a really great opportunity for you. But it's not only that, it's like a great opportunity for you to share the angels in a different way. And I just found it really hard to fathom. But I decided I would go in for the interview, and I would just take it from there. I don't know if I'm telling you too much or if I should just keep going. But
No. Keep going. This is good stuff.
Yeah, so I went. It was a Sunday. I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was a Sunday, and they asked me to come into the newspaper. They were preparing for the Monday news, morning. And the lady interviewed me, and she just took some notes about my life. And she said, now I'm going to bring in the editor, the features editor, for you to meet. He's going to ask you some questions. It might not be comfortable. And so this guy came in, and it was like the movie The Devil Wears Prada, when they meet the boss, and except it was a man, and he came in and he was like, okay, I've met a few of you weirdos today. He was like super brash, and he said, so what is it you do? And I was like, well, sometimes I can see angels. And he went, angels, I've heard of it all now. He's like, what do you do then? Read stones, bones, runes, graves? Like, he was really like coming for me. And I was like, no, just sometimes I can go into kind of gentle meditation, and then I can ask, and sometimes I'll see something. And he's like, well, hurry up then, do it. And I was like, well, not the circus. I'm not here to perform tricks. It's just if it happens. So I close my eyes, and inside I'm like, don't you dare let me down now. I was like, angels, this is it. And I looked at the lady who was taking the notes, and I could see this light around her. I was like, thank goodness. And on her lap, I could see the vision of a black and white cat, and it kept walking along her lap. And I said to the guy, there's an angel in the room, and it's bringing forth a black and white cat to this lady, and it's magic that it's just sitting there. And he went, and he was looking from left to right. She started to cry, and he went, "You've passed the test." And I was, kind of baffled. And I was like, "I'm really sorry for upsetting you." And she's like, "No, don't worry." And it turns out that her cat was called Magica, and it had just been put to sleep only days before. And the fact that I said it's magic was kind of like this ringing true of a name. And he had also known, because she'd come into work really distraught after having her cat put to sleep. So that was the first kind of trial for this newspaper. And they said, "We're going to set you up for another thing, but you're going to now have to meet the editor." So another week goes past, and I honestly don't know what I'm signing up for here. And I get called back in. I go in my lunch hour from the corporate job. I'm still not told anyone I'm having these meetings with like the biggest, most read newspaper in the whole of the country. And I go in and I meet the editor, and he's like, "Okay, I want to know, do you have any skeletons in your closet? Is there anything in your life that can put our newspaper at jeopardy here?" And I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." So after that meeting, they gave me this bundle of letters. There was like 5 or 6. And he said, "Go home, do what you do, and answer these letters in a way that you feel would what you would want to say." And I was like, "Okay." So I took the letters home, meditated, picked angel cards for all of them, but one of them just didn't feel good. So I decided not to answer it, and I answered 5 of the 6, and I sent them in like this Word document. And the guy sent me this really weird email. It was like a couple of hours later. "How the F did you do it?" ? And I was like, "What's he talking about?" He's like, and I was like, and I replied, like, when you get someone says something cheeky, you kind of get uptight. So I just replied, "What do you mean? Is everything okay?" And he was like, "Call me." So I call the guy, and he's like, and he's swearing on the phone. He's like, "How the F did you do that? How the F did you do it?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about." And he's like, "You answered only 5 of the 6. And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All of those letters were written by individual journalists in this office asking you personal questions. One of them was written by me, and it was fake. You didn't answer it." And I was like, "Oh, well, I just didn't feel like there was anything there for it." And then it turns out I had like replied to everyone and was very accurate and named people, and there was information that was really cool. He said, "I'm going to send a photographer to your house on this day." And I was like, "Okay." And again, I'm not really taking in what's happening.
Yeah.
So the photographer comes to my house, takes my photo, and the following Tuesday, they printed all of what I had written to those letters in a national newspaper that has 500,000 daily readers. And then everyone starts asking me, "Hey, I just seen you in the newspaper. You're called the Angel Whisperer now." And I was like, "Am I?" Like, I genuinely did not discuss all what was going to happen from here. And then a few days later, the door goes, and it was the postman, and he was like, "Hi, did you start writing at the newspaper and Sun?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess I did." And he's like, "Good, this is for you." And I had 5,000 handwritten letters in my first week.
And I'm speechless. I knew it was a couple bags. 5,000. Did you, before we dive into, because I want to talk to people about how they connect with angels, did you read all of them?
I couldn't. There was just no way for me to get through them all. because they didn't stop, Michael. Like literally on a weekly basis, this bag would be delivered to my. I was still living at my mum's house,
Oh, she must
like
have thought it was really cool, though.
it was cool, but I was also like still trying to make it as a DJ and also work at this corporate job, which I stayed for another year.
So it begets the question. And that won't make it on radio, but you can hear the rooster in the background here. Is there a divine timing to everything?
I genuinely believe that there is. And although I don't think our lives are mapped out, I genuinely believe that there are windows of opportunity that are presented to us all. Like taking into consideration your own personal story. I'm sure every time you had a near-death experience, there was an opportunity to say yes and stay or no and go. So I feel that in our lives, there's these kind of vortex moments that can take us into a deeper state of purpose or not. And we always have a choice. And in that moment of me saying yes and taking on the tests and, showing up to this newspaper, even though it was not in alignment with my political ideas and everything I believe, it was still a greater opportunity for me to be able to take the idea of communicating with angels into the home of 500,000 plus people weekly, And so it felt to me as like the moment I stopped saying no and started saying yes.
It's interesting because you keep on using the word feel and felt. And it seems like I was going to ask the question, do we live in a magical world? And I first got that from a Native American gentleman on the Taos Pueblo who held up these ancient moccasins that I'd been looking for years and said, I called you here because I live in a magical world. We all live in a magical world if we follow that feeling, don't we?
Right. I would say that my own life has been dominated by the sentience, by being able to feel, by really trusting that. And I really tried to rewire my lingo. And like, I try not to say, I think. I always go, I feel. And I, try and really tune into that. And I genuinely feel that
I like it.
When the angels are here, they are expressing information to us in a vibration that goes beyond the natural senses that can only be felt. And that's why I think clairsentience, the intuition, is the strongest form of spiritual communication. Because it's vibration that we're tuning into beyond sound, beyond vision. And I think that's the part of us that exists when we leave the body.
Very, very cool. Now, when I pray to the angels, what I feel is a brush of a feather that goes across me. If I call in Archangel Michael, I'll feel these, forgive me, Ruru the rooster, goosebumps come over me and feel a brush of a feather. What's going on there?
They're called angel bumps. When we are tuning into the feeling, we are also giving permission to our physiology to go beyond its natural spatial awareness. And so when you're getting angel bumps coming over your body, it's because your actual physical receptors are feeling beyond your own energetic space. That's what I believe. I would say that a lot of people feel a natural fluctuation of the energy that surrounds them when they call upon the angels. Sometimes that can express itself in a way that feels like a hot flash. It can feel like someone's tickling your neck. Like that, I get that. When you go, ooh. Or what you call goosebumps. So yeah, I think that's a really natural way to express that. And the thing is is that a lot of people go, that seems far out, but it doesn't. It genuinely doesn't, because all of us know what it's like to walk into an office one day and be met by a stink of an energy, like a vibration that, someone's just having a really bad day today. And it's like the air is as thick as cheese and you can slice it, it's like super heavy. But we also know what it's like to walk into a space where we're infected by goodness, where people are laughing or smiling and feeling good. Like, if you're on the train and someone starts laughing, you'll laugh with them. There's an infectiousness to that. And that's what energy is. And so the angels are energy themselves, and their energy is in some way infectious. And that's what creates these shifts and these changes which cause physical experience.
Very, very cool. So then it kind of angelic, calling in the angels 101. How do we call in the angels or hear our angels?
Hearing is easier said than done, especially if you've spent a lifetime ignoring the voice of your own intelligence.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about that for a second. The voice that says to you, don't order the large fries today, or the voice that says, if you eat this, you're going to be sick, or, if you say yes to hanging out with this person, you're going to feel drained. Mm-hmm. If we've ignored that voice for a long time, we have to get reacquainted with it first. Because how in the world can we hear an angel if we've ignored our own self? Like, that's the truth. So feeling angels and beginning to experience them is far much more easy to obtain than hearing them at first. And the best way to experience your angel is just by inviting them into your life. The angels are honoring free will at all times, unless it's a life or death situation and there has been an intention for a greater purpose of your life that has not yet been met. So the angels can't come into your world or help you unless you invite them. And so the best way to do so is to thank them as if they're already here. I learned that the angels exist in the present tense, not in the past or the future. And a lot of us say prayer in the format that the future is going to bring us the answer, rather than step into this present moment and affirm that what we're looking for is already here. So my favorite way to welcome the angels into your life is through this prayer. Mm-hmm. Thank you, angels, for reminding me of your presence. And that prayer can open up a whole host of channels of experience. It could lead to the angel bumps. It can lead to the feeling of another presence in the room, but also can lead to the experience of signs. For example, finding a feather in the most obscure place, or hearing the word angel in regular conversation popping up time and time again, or turning on, the radio in the car one day and it feels like the angels are singing to you an answer to a prayer. The angels love to prove they're real. They love to share their existence with us. But instead of asking them from a place of, angels, prove you are real to me, but more from a place of, thank you for reminding me of your presence. You're affirming that they're already here, that you already believe, and that you're willing to have an experience.
Thank you. That's when I start my prayer to the angels, to the archangels. It's always with thank you, thank you, thank you to each one of the angels. It's weird, about 10 minutes ago, as we were starting to talk, there's this rooster that's come into our lives. He's in the other room. That's a whole long, beautiful story of feathers, but a feather fell from the ceiling in front of me. There's no rooster in the room. And so as you started, I see this feather go down. I'm like, all right, I got you. Very, very cool. So you said something interesting. You said, in a sense, it depends on the energy that we call them from. So if we're calling on angels for help from a place of fear, what happens?
It's not that we can experience their help, but we just might not be as aware of it. You see, and I think that's a really important thing is that the angels can genuinely help us in the most challenging, most uncertain times. There's no doubt. But us having the experience of them might be different. So I just want to get that clear
Yeah.
because, I've heard from hundreds and thousands of people, who experience angels at the most craziest, most challenging moments of their life. So the angels can help us in those moments. But having your own experience is always much more effective when you're in alignment, is the best way to do it. When you're less dialed into experience seeking and genuinely wanting to know that you're connected to something higher. And I think that, a lot of us on the spiritual path, let's be honest here, are experience seekers rather than truth seekers. I think sometimes you start off as an experience seeker and then eventually somewhere along the line or along the way, you recenter yourself to more wanting to live from a more integral, more aligned state. So if anyone here is watching this and they're like, they've asked for the angels to prove that they're real or give them a sign and kind of clung on to that, it's not a moment to judge yourself, but it's more a window of opportunity to say, there's more to this than just experiencing feathers. These beings can actually lead me to a greater sense of purpose and also help me contribute to a greater healing of the world.
Thank you. And I want to dive into that in a minute. And I want to go to your deck in just a few minutes. Before I do that, if we went back to school, how were you calling on the angels for protection and for a golden glowing light?
I was a little bit different to a lot of people. I think we're all different, but I felt really like an outsider in school. And I had really got to this state of no one really understands me. No one really wants to know the truth of me. You?
Not a chance.
So yeah, the angels really gave me more confidence and learning to be able to protect myself from lower vibrations really helped shift me. And I used to walk home with anxiety every single day because I grew up in a pretty rough end. I come from it's like a crazy, the most, I don't even know the word for it, underprivileged town in the whole of Scotland, and it's got the lowest, exam results in the country. It's got the highest violence in the country, the most drug rates, it's the
it
one.
makes sense that you would come from there. It actually makes sense. Bring us light where there is darkness. Hello, Kyle Gray.
Well, yeah, but it was funny because there's obviously so much lovely things there too, and it's got like the greatest views. It's a shipbuilding town, but there was also a lot of darkness, and I just lived in fear for a long time. There was a lot of gang culture where I was growing up, and people being stabbed and chased and all these different things. So learning about these angels and the fact that they could create this spiritual force field that would protect my physical body just became something that I clung to. And I think that really helped me develop a greater trust in them, is that as soon as I started to visualize myself in this bubble of light, the way people saw me and the way people treated me started to change. And sometimes I became invincible. Or invisible, sorry. Invincible. Well,
there's a good Freudian slip.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, I became invisible, and that suited me.
Is
Do you
it?
want to actually have a funny story about that?
Please.
When I first came to the US, when I started to become a speaker and an author on an international sense, I used to freak out coming through border control. The reason for that is I have like tattoos in the most, revealing places, and I've always kind of been treated a little bit differently when I come through border control because I've got tattoos. They're like, this guy must party. And so my first trip to the US, I was taken into that little room where they
Oh
search
no.
all your things in your body, and it literally it really tarnished my um experience of coming to the US. So every time I come, I literally still get this anxiety of, oh my goodness, they're going to take me in that room and just belittle me again.
I got this,
And
Kyle,
so,
without the tattoos. I got this going to Canada. And I
you
still have
I
that
heard,
fear when I go to the border of what's going to happen because they intimidate you. They scare you deliberately. And when this happened, I'm like, I don't need to come in. I can go home now.
yeah, it's funny. When I went to Canada, I had the complete opposite experience. The guy was like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "An author," and he was like, "Cool," and that was it, you know. But when I was coming through New York, you know, this guy was like, "Do you have drugs?" and like really like coming for me, and so I started calling Michael the Archangel to protect me. And this one time I was super nervous about coming into Philadelphia. And I asked Archangel Michael to make me invisible. And when it came to my turn, I was like traveling on a pretty quiet flight. I was in business class. And so I got to the front of the line. And I went to the guy, and you know how you have to do your handprints in
Yep,
the
yep.
US? You don't do that here. And so I'm doing it, and the guy's like, "Can you do it again, sir? Can you do it again, sir? Can you do it again?" And he's like, "Weird. It's not picking up a human being." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "It's like your hand doesn't exist." And he's like, "You know what? I'm just going to trust that it's okay. I've seen you've come in a few times." And then he gave me my passport and off I went. But I thought it was really weird. And it was really a big lesson. Like, I'm never going to be asked to be made invisible again because that's making matters even more challenging. So,
So
funny.
going from there, and then we'll get into your deck here. Do we each have a guardian angel, and how can we connect with our guardian angel?
I believe we all have a guardian angel, and the angel's not only from this lifetime, but every incarnation. So, um, I had this vision not too long ago that before we were in this body, and I loved when I learned that the human being is made up of the particles of former stars.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that we are a star in its next incarnation, so cool, or its next form. So I had this vision that I used to be one with the cosmos. I've always had this deep connection to the stars. And I remember feeling like I was moving through the night sky, and my energy was so effervescent and magnetic. And towards me was another star, and it was drawing towards me like a magnet. And that other star was my guardian angel in their previous form. And they were just pure intelligence of the universe. And then, for whatever reason, when we're given the opportunity to incarnate as human, that same magnetic pull that drew the stars together draws your angel with you wherever you go. And the feeling of being drawn to the angels and feeling like I want to connect with them isn't actually curiosity or interest, it's deep soul remembrance. We're remembering on a soul level that before we were embodied, we were connected to this intelligent force of love. So, yes, we all have a guardian angel. That's how we were connected. And they've been with us through every incarnation, creating essentially the story of our lives and our experiences and all of the lessons and karma that we've experienced in our life. And how to connect with them, that first prayer I shared earlier on, thank you, angels, for reminding me of your presence, is like a great way. But also getting into the state of being willing to listen. And there's three prayers I use on a daily. So it's thank you, angels, for reminding me of your presence. Second one is thank you, angels, for revealing to me what I need to know. And that's based on me working with angel cards. I'll maybe talk about that when we get there. The angels tell us what we need, not what we want. And then the last one is Thank you, angels, for showing me how I can live a life of service in a way that also serves me, my joy, and my happiness. And you can also add in, and my bank account, if you so wish. So that's my three prayers. For a long time, I used to just say, thank you, angels, for showing me how I can live a life of service. Dear God, use me. And I felt used and I felt like I was in service, but I was not being served in that process. So I had to upgrade.
I love it. And this is a woohoo. I've got three prayers. And my first prayer is thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you, Archangel Raphael. Thank you, Archangel Gabriel. And goes on from there. My second one is what do I need to know today? My third one is for what do I need for my highest good and the highest good of all.
Yeah.
They are right in alignment, Kyle.
It's so important because when you align with service, there's a sustenance that's brought to your life, you know? And that's the one thing that I think has really allowed my own spiritual practice to develop and evolve is the fact that this has never been just for me. You know, there's always been a dedication, a commitment, a mission, a vision. And I think when we align with that service or the highest good of all, you create a radical shift in your life.
Woohoo! All right, let's radically shift at this point of the interview. Crack out that deck. What can you tell us about it?
So I've made 4. This is it. I've got an unopened version here. Yeah, sorry, I've got a light in the background.
That's all right. Angel Guide Oracle deck.
The Angel Guide Oracle. I've made 4 Oracle decks in my life. The first time I had the opportunity to pitch an angel deck was back in 2013. And my initial vision when I was creating an Oracle deck was to create an Oracle that represented the angels as a whole, and that anyone and everyone could pick them up and feel connected to them. And the biggest challenge that I was met with when I started to work with the angels is that all of the angel card decks that I found to that point only included angels that were white. And that rocked me.
Thank you. I just want to pause you because when you said, because I was thinking about this because you described what the angels look like. And then I'm like, wait a second, but he described a black Barack Obama and I was so happy about that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, so I'll tell you why I feel my angel took the form of a black man is I genuinely feel that a part of my privilege and a part of my mission was also to be able to open up conversation about divine beings in a place where there was and is still marginalization of certain voices. And I could sense that, you know, people of color across the spectrum, you know, Black, Asian, and beyond, were not being considered when it came to the conversation about angels. And I know for a fact that my deck was one of the first decks, my first ever deck, to have angels of the whole spectrum of color. And it was something that I received a lot of love about. And so as I've progressed, as I've learned, and as I've worked with the world and got to know people, you know, I've received feedback and information and insight where I've always wanted to include everyone in my deck. And I genuinely believe that this one is the most inclusive yet, you know, and that it's not just about a few people of color in the deck. There's genuine equity given to it, you know. So I think that's important, and so I think that's why my angel maybe took that form at that time, because I felt like it was saying, hey, don't forget this group of people, you know, let them into your work. And it's not because I'm supposed to be the wise white guy teaching black people how to get connected. It was more just make your work safe, you know? That was it. Just make your work safe and inclusive. No one is forgotten because the angels haven't forgot anyone. Why are we? So I just want to talk. That's why. So yeah, I decided we had made decks about archangels and the ancestors and the ascended masters. I wanted to create a deck about guardian angels, just about getting in touch with this divine celestial group that is dedicated to the earth and her people,
Yeah.
us. And so, yeah, I made this deck, and I can show you. It's like a beautiful
Look at these
deck.
illustrations, and definitely all the colors of people of the rainbow.
Right, and that was really important. But not only that, we also wanted the angels not just to be like skinny, you know, like I didn't want just angels to be represented by these long twigs. Like I wanted angels that were curvaceous and
Yes.
celebrated. You know, this one's super cool, you know.
Can you
So
describe that to people who are listening on radio?
what the card? Yeah, the
Yes.
card friendship and union, and it's like a black angel with a white angel, and their palms are facing each other, and they're sharing all this rainbow light, coming together in complete harmony. So yeah, they're this super colorful, beautiful. We also have like really deep shades of skin tone, which again was an encouragement to people of color to celebrate their darkness. You know, it's a beautiful thing. The angels look at us through this lens of complete love. And I have a lot of friends that helped me along the way, and I sent out all the images and had people, you know, look at it and feedback on it, and it really feels like everyone's included.
How did you come up with them? It's going to be a three-part question. How'd you come up with them? How do they work? And then let's dive into a reading.
Yeah, you know, for me, I'm inspired a lot by a really strong meditation practice, and by my meditation practice is my non-negotiable. So going to the gym is negotiable, you know, eating a healthy meal is negotiable, but meditation is non-negotiable. It's the one thing I will do every day for 22 minutes. You know, does not matter where I am or who I'm with, that's happening. So when I go into meditation, I get a lot of visions and a lot of information and keywords. And what I'll do is I'll just ask the angels to inspire me. And then when it comes to me, just it's similar to automatic writing, but I would say it's more dictated rather than it comes through me.
Yep.
I'll write down a whole thing. It'll just fly out of me. And I'll present a vision, brief an artist, then you have to create a whole color palette, which is a whole thing, become an art director. But yeah, so that's how it works. And I knew that was another thing I wanted to do is I also wanted to create a deck that defied gender, because I'm lucky enough to be able to have people in my workshops from the trans community and who are non-gender specific and still divinely beautiful because of that. So I wanted a deck that just kind of was led and open by interpretation of the individual rather than just my idea. So yeah, and then I create a whole bundle of ideas or concepts, and then the artist creates it, and then when the image comes in, I write the interpretation, and it's a beautiful experience.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And they have got to, I am sentient. I don't know what clear sentient. Oh, okay, I'll go clear sentient. But I imagine the energy coming off of them. The best description I have is buzzy.
Yeah, they're so, you know, they've only just started arriving in like people's hands, like the press and some influencers, and I've been getting a lot of messages like, these are so good, Kyle. Like they've got an energy like none of your other decks before. There's something about them. And I do feel like they were needed at this time. You know, I think there was a lack of equality and representation, but there was also a need for a deck that really just brought in the light. You know, like lots of colors, lots of rainbow, lots of, you know, brightness. And yeah, they feel good.
All
I'm
right.
proud of.
would you mind? So before this, I was mentioning off air, I was prepping for the interview, and I go to the angels, and I keep hearing, go personal, go personal, go personal. I'm like, okay. So can we do some sort of a personal reading on myself or myself and Jessica? Maybe we'll do a global reading as well. But I'm told to go personal, whatever that means.
Do you want to ask a question?
Sure. Are we meant to move?
Are we meant to move? Whoa. Okay, I'm going to pick 3 cards for you.
All right.
So, the first card is vulnerability and freedom, which is what I call the strength card. The heart card is courage and bravery. And the challenge is sacred plan. So I've got an answer, if that's okay. So I'll just start with that. You're supposed to move. The strength card is vulnerability and freedom. And it was a card I showed you earlier. It's this angel. She's like holding a star in her hands. And she's kind of like emerging from a space with her wings up. Your strength is vulnerability. You know, even though you're a male and you carry the masculine, there's this part of you that's really willing to be open and seen and vulnerable. Yeah. There's this part of you that's really willing to let the shields drop down. So a more deeper, more resilient you is on show, but also that this part of you leads from the heart. Mm-hmm. And the angels are here to remind you to trust in vulnerability, because the fact that you are resisting this change also represents the fact that you are resisting moving back into the space of vulnerability. And the message of getting too comfortable and too attached is really coming to my awareness here. So there's a feeling of, remember that in vulnerability, you are your strongest. And even though there's a part of you that might not be ready for change or would have picked it at this particular time, it feels to me that with this comes freedom.
Thank you.
The heart card is this angel. She's kind of influenced by Joan of Arc. It's this young girl. She's a big shield and a staff. She has light around her and big purple wings. And courage and bravery in the heart is about daring to be different and also daring for things to be different. And so somewhere in all of this, your heart is craving change. It's craving a brave new move. Yeah. And in some way, it feels to me that the current space that you are in has been a holding space, and it's been a container for so much good, but it's also been a container for so much challenge and so much fear and sadness that in some way there's a part of you that might be attached to this space because of everything that you went through there and everything that's happened there. The bravery message for me is really encouragement from your angels to be brave, to be different, to be brave and courageous, to move into a new space, and to have courage to let this part of your life go. I can't say that we can blame a physical space for certain challenges and problems in our life. But I think when we've been in a certain space for so long and we've felt like we're in a funk for so long, then there sometimes is an inevitable connection between them. And I genuinely feel that the moving into the wild unknown is actually something that's going to work in your favor. The challenge card is Sacred Plan. And she's kind of like this Indian angel, and she has like golden light streaming through her consciousness. It's a card of replenishment. It's a card of regeneration and of rebirth. And the words are sacred plan, but it lands in the challenge. And so what that means is there's a resistance to the plan. You've asked God for purpose, you've asked God for a plan to unfold, but yet you're questioning the unfoldment of it. And so when this card comes up, it's an encouragement to you to trust the plan that's unfolding, to trust that whatever is happening might seem weird, different, or against the current.
Yeah.
But in some way, there's a method, a message, and purpose in the madness. So I feel like this message of trusting in the plan, that is your challenge. That's what you need to do. And it feels like in some way that I described your space like a container. Mm-hmm. You're not here to be contained.
There's an irony to that because we're actually asking ourselves right now because what we're doing is we're renting a bus, 35-foot RV, and go travel around the country as a test to see if we want to buy one and stay out on the open road for a while and see what the universe brings us.
The wild unknown. Great. Yeah, it makes sense.
So forgive me if I may ask one more question because I can hear Jessica in my head who says you have to ask a question about baby or about miscarriages.
Yeah. I remember when the last time we had this conversation, wasn't that long ago? It was like 4 months ago, maybe? Maybe it was longer.
It was probably might have been 4 or 5 months ago. We had just finished miscarriage number 2. Well, no, we had miscarriage number 2, and then we were surprised to be pregnant again, and a month and a half ago, we've had miscarriage number 3.
Right. I'll be honest, it feels to me that here's the thing. When a baby wants to be here, they will be here. There is nothing that can stop them. And it feels to me that a child coming is inevitable for your life. That is what I know to be true. But it's like they're waiting for a perfect window. And it also feels like to me that there needs to be space made for them. And like that's me just genuinely tuning into it.
I appreciate it.
I feel like there's not space for that baby yet. They're like, you're asking me to come in, but you're not stopping and letting me come in. It's like that's not me actually hearing them. I'm just giving you the impression that I feel. It feels like the child energy is waiting for space for their arrival. Because it feels to me that their arrival, it's like when you're preparing for the greatest house guest, It's like you're preparing for something sacred to happen. And there's a part of me that feels in your world that although you are, very positive beings and consciously aligned, there's still a part of you that feels not yet deserving of that experience. And I think particularly towards Jessica, and as long as she feels okay with me speaking about this,
I'm sure
there's a part of me that really wants to say to her, you need to believe in your magic, because it feels to me that she is, in this case, a sacred container, worthy of this divine experience and this blessing to be a vehicle of a greater love. And it feels to me like I want to say to her, you need to know that you deserve to experience love at this level.
Woohoo. Thank you. Thank you.
So that feels like that. But I can feel in your field that there's several angels with you that I look into. I can see 3 angels with you. And I want to just tell you this. Do you know that children who don't make it become angels. I genuinely believe that.
I did not know that.
Because they've never had an ego. They've never had the limitations of the human fear, so they're still angelic in form. So I can feel that there's three beings that are like angels to you, but also two other angels that are with you. So there's beings there. Um, I also will say this to you that it feels to me the healing on the father line is very important for you. And there feels like either a discombobulation between you and your own father or the connection to your own father that is heart based,
Yeah.
where either never fully experienced that greater acceptance and love or never felt the cherished of being a child. And it's something that you will heal when you finally step into your own fatherhood. So there's like something to do with you shifting the family lineage, because there's a part of your energy to me that feels like you were never fully cherished or accepted or loved in the way that you could have been.
Certainly in childhood, my dad rocks it now, but in childhood there was some bumpiness, to say the
Right.
least.
It's not because he's a bad person, and it's not because there was anything wrong. It's just more that there wasn't the space for that then. And I think it's about tuning into your father now and connecting with your father now and like re-establishing this love that where it's cherished and it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And it feels to that even though your dad rocks, there's still things that could be discussed and opened up about that would create an even deeper level of connection. And I think you owe it to yourself to hear how he really feels. So I think it's about initiating that deeper conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I will do that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I feel positivity there for sure. I keep doing that because I can feel all the angels around.
Very cool. Just a few more questions for everybody. First off, can we all see angels?
Are you going to Las Vegas?
Not that I'm aware of. We are
I'll,
open. What's that?
I'll tell you why. I don't know what I've just done, but I had the cards
Yeah.
spread out on the table, on the laptop, and I did this, and I just saw the word Las Vegas come up on the screen, like physically came up. So I just was giving you that.
Well, the way we're going is up through, well, we'll give you the briefest version of the tour. We're going up from here through Grand Tetons, through Yellowstone, up and over to the Cascade Mountains of Washington, down through Forks, Washington, over through several of the largest mountain towns in Washington. Oregon, we might go by Mount Rushmore, down, might go to Yosemite. Then we're going to be on our 10-year anniversary at the Grand Canyon. And to go from California to the Grand Canyon, we might be going near Vegas.
So you're okay. That makes sense. So you're going to Nevada rather than Vegas.
So the shortest way from California to Arizona, well, I guess you could go all the way south and over or through Nevada. We're open.
I'm going to leave that with you, and then something magical is going to happen regarding that.
I will keep you posted.
I'm sure you will.
Awesome. So, how do we see angels?
Oh, you don't need to. That's the most important thing. They're not physical beings, they're vibrational beings. Feeling is so much more important. Like, I genuinely know that. Seeing angels is a skill that would take, I think, takes most people 5 to 10 years to develop.
Yeah.
Because it's about being able to see yourself first of all, and then, or unless you've had some sort of traumatic experience, then sometimes you can just see them instantly. Like, that's what I've found. But seeing angels is not important on a physical level, but you can invite them into your meditation, and that's where you're going to have the best experience. So I would say asking an angel to reveal its divine presence to you in meditation. Thank you, guardian angel, for allowing me to see your divine presence in this meditation today. That's an amazing way to get connected to your angel.
Very, very cool. What's the importance of a prayer of grace?
The prayer of grace is where you're praying for the highest good of all, and it's when you, if you want to pray for someone else. I think angels are amazing, and we can send angels to other people. So, for example, say Jessica was doing, a trip on her own, you might want to send her angels.
I'm going with the guardian angels, and I tend to do this movement here as to create this golden sphere of love and light to encapsulate her. And so I'm calling on the angels. Thank you to the angels whenever she goes on her way.
Yeah, so you can do that. Thank you, angels, for protecting my loved one today. And then you add the words under the law of grace. And it means that if they are not in the space to be able to ask for help, grace will do it for them. And grace is this force of light that fills the world. It's that force that makes us want to be in service of others. I use travel a lot as a great way to explain angels. If you're going on the train and you see someone on their own, like a single mother, and she's got like a baby here and a baby in a buggy, we'll often say, hey, can I help you? And you'll lift the buggy down the steps or onto the train. That's grace. It's that thing where you see someone who's not themselves, and even though they're a stranger, you'll say, hey, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Like grace is all around us. And it's this invisible force that's in the service of the greater good of humanity.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So on that note, where can people go to find out more and to find your beautiful, beautiful Angel Guide Oracle deck?
Angel Guide Oracle is going to be out the world over from September 1st. You'll probably be able to get it in your local bookstore. Support local if you can.
Totally.
Yeah, New Age stores. I am an unapologetic New Ager, so New Age stores, spiritual bookstores there, or you can get it on Amazon.
Fantastic. And do you have a website you want to send people to?
Yeah, the best place is kylegray.co.uk.
kylegray.co.uk. So if you didn't catch kylegray.co.uk, come on over to Inspire Nation Show and we'll get you over to Kyle Gray, GRAY.co.uk. This has been phenomenal. Any last words of wisdom you want to share before we let you, I don't know, actually not get some sleep? You've got a little more writing in you to do, don't you?
Right. No, I'll say that 2020 in angel numbers, 2 is the number of union and relationships, and 0 is the number of God and new beginnings. And so 2020 on an angel numbers level is the year of improving relationships, new beginning with relationships. So in order for relationships to begin anew, we have to break down the walls, the barriers, the shields that have been built up. So if we're all seeing challenging stuff happening around us, it's because there's a breaking down for a rebuild to soon begin.
Thank you. And you just sparked something. So please forgive me. One last question. We keep on being chased down by the image of a phoenix during this time of rising from the ashes, and we've literally had ashes falling in our yard over the last week. Is there any connection between angels and the sign or symbol or beingness of a phoenix?
So in my first oracle deck, there's an archangel called Azrael, who is the angel who leads the souls of the departed back to heaven, and on his chest is a phoenix. So he's the angel that connects the two realms.
Woohoo! Thank you. So
You're welcome. Thank you.
This has been such an honor and a treat, Kyle. I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Thank you for having me.
Most welcome. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get the Angel Guide Oracle, and begin connecting with your angels today, and shine bright. Woohoo! thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this latest interview as much as I did. For more on how you can up-level your life, click on the links below for our mini masterclasses, for our boot camps, and for a very limited availability one-on-one coaching with me. Be sure to give this a huge thumbs up if you like this, leave your comments below, and you can check out more amazing videos here and here. Love you guys so much. Shine bright. Woohoo!